Hello, hello. Yes, I got my Mylar rep, and I got my Marathon 2014 Chicago Marathon medal. Yes, I finished. So if you watched my previous video of the videos I put on here, I didn't train for this properly. I partially trained. I run every mile every morning, Monday through Sunday, about 2 to 3 or 4 miles every day in the morning before work and then on the weekends. However, I didn't do any long run training this time. This was my third marathon. I finished in 2008 and 2009. So this was my third marathon. There was a 5-year hiatus there if you're doing the math. So I've aged. I'm at 43 now. The reason I'm making this video is because I want to, I guess, spread a little bit of information and talk about what led up to the marathon, how I did in the marathon, and then after the marathon. I don't have my coach with me this time, so I was kind of by myself with this. As I said a few minutes ago, I run all the time. I run. It's like become a habit. It's become a routine in the morning, which is awesome because I don't even have to think about it. Whether I'm tired or hungover or sick, I run no matter what. Even if I got like 5 or 6 hours of sleep, I get out there and I run in the morning. It wakes me up. Have a little coffee. I don't have too many supplements. I generally have a good diet. So I ran all summer, and in Chicago here, the weather here this past summer was very mild, so there wasn't a lot of heat and humidity, which is great for us runners, right? So I kept on running. So this is what I'm leading up to the point I want to make about how I got into this marathon. And I want to preface this and make a specific point for all you runners out there watching this, that I do not endorse what I'm going to say. What I did is probably not the smartest thing to do for your health, for your legs, for your back, for your overall training and all. If you're going to run a marathon, do not do it the way I'm going to talk about. Stick to the guide, stick to the regiment, stick to what's in Runner's World, and stick to all the great writings about the 16-week program. The long runs are critical, critical, critical. It's the best way to do it properly and without hurting yourself, without risking your life, I guess. You know, I only did one long run training leading up to this marathon, which was last Sunday. Today is Friday, and I'm finally making this video. And be sure to watch my other video from last Saturday, the day before the marathon, because this is the last video I'm going to talk about this. I'm not a big vlogger or anything. I wanted to do it last year. I wanted to do it the year before, and I basically pussied out. I chickened out, and then this year, I suddenly got in this zone about 2 weeks ago, and I said, I want to friggin' do it. Nothing is going to stop me. So when you have that, you know, come to Jesus, or you have a very strong conviction of something you want to do, I said, I'm going to do it. No matter what, I'm going to do it. I'm going to get on Craigslist. I'm going to start talking to people who wants to unload their bib, whatever I can do. The Chicago Marathon sells out, so you're not going to get it through their system. It's like $185. So I started contacting people on Craigslist on October 3rd. And I got some, you know, networking going on there, started talking to people. Like $100 was kind of where I was at, but I'd be willing to pay more. And then on October 5th, I did a long run. My first long run in over 2 years. I just got out there, got a lot of good sleep, and I ran along a river trail for 15 miles. That took about 2 hours and 45 minutes. And I was absolutely spent. I was spent. And I was a little bit even discouraged to run the marathon, which was just a week later. So after that, I didn't run that whole week leading up to the marathon. I just took some short walks. I did a real light run on the Saturday before the marathon. I went to the expo. You watch my expo videos on here. They're okay. I lined up my bib. So I made friends with the guy. Really cool. We started texting and all. And he'd say, I'll meet you at the expo on Saturday. I met up with him. I got the bib. All was cool. Came home Saturday night and took it real chill. Obviously ate the proper things. I have a video on here of what I ate that night, you know, the obvious things. If I would have gone back, I wouldn't have had any sauce in the pasta. I would have just had the pasta with some butter maybe. The morning of the marathon, I got up at 4 a.m. I drove downtown Chicago. I was parked by Well, I left here at 5 a.m., so I was up for an hour before I left here, which is good. You got to get your body moving that morning, and you don't want to be hitting the toilet and bathroom the whole marathon race. So get your body moving. The day of the marathon, get up, have some caffeine, have some food. I had some oatmeal, I had a banana, got my body flowing and got it moving and everything. And I felt great when I walked out of here, which was about an hour later. So 5 in the morning, I got in my car and I drove downtown to Chicago, parked, got a stealth parking spot. And I'm doing this all by myself. It's the first time I've ever done something like this by myself. But I was more excited than I was nervous, which is critical, you know. There was really no room for me to be nervous. I had already run 2 marathons before, 5 years prior, so I somewhat know what to expect. However, I was in much better shape back then and very well trained. I was up to 40 miles, 50 miles a week back then. Parked, and I had some food down there. I got into my corrals in Corral D, made some friends. It was just a beautiful morning. It was sunny, the sun was coming up. You know, the forecast that day was in the mid-50s, all sun, you know, almost too much sun actually. And it was the first marathon when I ran with music, so I had taken an old iPhone 4 and I had erased it on Saturday and I loaded it up with Live Fish. Just inspirational soundtrack for my run. You know, how am I going to get this marathon done? I had known from that previous long run on the 5th of October that I could get to 15 miles pretty much fine. So how was I going to get to 26.2, which I'll talk about. I have a friend who's run 25 consecutive Chicago marathons, and I confided in him leading up to it, and we talked about 3 things. Number 1, run with music. It'll keep you motivated. It'll keep you distracted from focusing on any discomfort or pain or other issues you may have. Just the music gets you running. We all know how music can influence you and excite you and energize you, you know, kind of like a Red Bull. And hey, Phish is the greatest band in the world, so you can't argue with that. And for me, that works. For everyone else, you know, whatever soundtrack you want. Number 2 was to walk those water stations. Stretch and walk to those water stations. Give yourself a little break rather than trying to plow through the whole marathon. You know, take those breaks, re-energize, stretch, use the restroom if you need to, and then get back out there. Number 3, I came out of the gates really, really slow. 12 and 13 minute miles, the first 10 miles. I stress the first 10 miles because that's what worked for me. I came out of those gates. I was in Corral D, which, you know, those people are running 4-hour marathons, so I was in the wrong group, but that's where I got my bib on Craigslist. So those first 10 miles were unbelievable, very exciting, very beautiful. You run along north up in Chicagoland, not along the lakefront you're in, but you go up near over by Wrigleyville and Lakeview and Lincoln Park and the zoo, and it's just beautiful. Because it was such perfect weather, there were well over 1 million spectators on the 26.2 miles. So I'm gonna try and talk fast here because I'm already at 8 minutes. I did up the turnaround up there, and at like mile 7 or something, some dude went down and he was having a really rough time, and it turns out the guy went into cardiac arrest. He's gonna be all right, and they paddled him and electrocuted him and saved his life, and he's gonna be fine, I guess. He may never run a marathon again. I used a critical bathroom break at about mile 12 or 13. I'm carrying Cliff Blocks, I'm carrying goo, I'm hitting as much water and Gatorade, I'm walking those water stations, and I got to the half marathon point. And I felt okay, you know. My lower back was alright, my legs feel great. Any leg pain, generally speaking, for me, doesn't really bother me. I'll feel the muscles tense up. I got no cramps at any point in my muscles or my stomach, ever. The entire day, which I still don't know how that happened, but it's really exciting. One thing I do regret is I did not clip my toenails. Clip your toenails before you run a marathon, okay? I don't think I need to tell you why. And don't run in new shoes, which I did not. What else can I say? So I got to mile 15 in the marathon, and that was my come to Jesus moment, because then I had to do a self-diagnosis of how do I feel? Can I finish this marathon? I really had not fully committed to finishing the marathon. My number 1 motivation for getting in the marathon is I want to have fun. It's a blast. Everyone is out there cheering and excited, and it's a festive circus type atmosphere, and you're going through all these neighborhoods of Chicagoland, all the different ethnic groups and ethnicities and the culture of Chicago and the architecture. I mean, I could go on and on and on, but I'm trying to keep this video under 15 minutes. We're at 10 minutes now. And it was at that point, about 15 miles, 16 miles, I stopped and I stretched again. Somebody had handed me some bananas, and that kind of really saved me. I got really, really hungry between miles 15 and 17. And all I have is Clif Bloks and goo. I'm now at that point been running over 3 hours. There's people giving away pretzels and candy and sucker and Fig Newtons. I had a Fig Newton at one point. It was just amazing. So I ran, I got to like mile 18, and I started feeling like hell. Like all of a sudden, stomach issues, cramps, a little gassy. I'm like, shit, I'm finished. What am I going to do? So I did two things. I used the restroom again. I got back out there. I saw a guy that was giving away beer, just like Miller Lite. And for me, again, this is not for everybody. And what I said in the beginning of this video is that I don't recommend what I'm talking about over here, but this is just what worked for me to finish the marathon. I had about a half of that beer, and it settled my stomach down, like the carbonation, like a ginger ale would. And I was suddenly really energized, and I had some more banana and some goo, and I got to mile 22. Just wham! From 18 to 22, bam! Through Chinatown, through Pilsen, through some of the south side of Chicago. And, really, because I'm going to wrap up this video here, it was between mile 22 and 26.2, the end of the marathon, that really was the only point that I would say I struggled. And I started walking about every half mile. I'd walk for 50 yards or whatever it is. And I'd keep chugging along. I'd reset my music. I'd stretch. I'd have more water, more Gatorade. And to wrap this whole video up, I finished the marathon in 6 hours and 1 minute. That's with virtually no long run training whatsoever. I'm normally 165 pounds, but by race day I was 160, so there's a 5-pound difference there. I eat well, I get plenty of sleep. My job is medium to high stress level. I'm just kind of giving you kind of a lifestyle of me personally. If you're watching this video, maybe you've never run a marathon, or you're thinking of running a marathon without too much training, then this would be a video for you to watch, because I've proved, again, not for everybody, I proved that I can get there and I can finish because I run every day 2 or 3 or 4 miles. I stay generally fit. I don't do cross training, I don't do yoga, I don't lift weights. I just get out and run every day. Lots of cardio. And I finished. For next year, I will never do again what I'm just talking about. So everything I said in this video, I will not do again for next year for a couple reasons. I don't want to have a heart attack. I don't want to get hurt or injured, between mile 20 and 26. I mean, anything could have happened. Anything could have happened. I had a little bit of heart palpitation, between 18 and 20, but nothing serious. I'm having a ton of caffeine that day. If you're going to run a marathon, you have to do long run training throughout your weeks. 8 miles, 10, 15, 18, and obviously 20 or 22 miles if you could do that. Multiple times, The guide here, this is a great guide. You can download it online. It's from Runner's World magazine, and it's, I think it's, 7 pages long. This is a must read. I've read it like I memorized the whole thing, so it covers everything. I love running. I love making this video. Obviously, you can see all my passion for it, and I can't wait to run another marathon, maybe an ultra, and get my time down to about 4:30, like I did my first marathon, which is actually 4:42 is my first marathon. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Please subscribe. Please check out my other marathon videos of the expo and of me prepping to run the marathon. And I mean, all my other videos are music related and weather related and concerts. I shoot a lot of concerts. So best of you if you watch this video, if you're getting into running or you run marathons or you're just looking to get entertained. It's so much frigging fun. Have a great day.